Hey guys, quick update and intro, updates, tech updates. Every time I fire up the new laptop, I lose internet connection through the rest of the house. The laptop stays connected, but I lose TV connection. My phone says that there's no internet available. So if anybody out there knows the solution to that, please let me know. One of the coolest things I've seen on the internet lately is a thing that says "Be patient." I'm from the 1900s, so I'm going to need some help on this deal. Anybody knows the solution, let me know. I've tried the internet solutions and I thought I had it licked, but I clearly don't. The guy with the shithole garage claims the garage is cleaned by the time this airs. So he doesn't think he can be that guy anymore, but I assured him he can. And he will continue to be. Let's congratulate him for that. It was an epic feat, it sounds like. There was trailers, there was movement, there was storage shed rentals. This was a big production. There was a lot of stuff. So let's congratulate him, number one, for doing the job. Now, let's slowly watch the evolution of its return to the shithole garage as the year goes on. Last update, me and Chicken Legs haven't really figured out a competition yet, still in the works. More to come. MFC got home 2 days ago. It'll be a week now from when this show airs. Back home, soaking up time with his family. Surgery was a success. Everything's going well. Today's show, banger of an episode. Clint works for one of our local suburban EMS services, and he's doing that career now because of a life event he had when he was 41. I think he's in his 50s now. Had a heart attack, was transported by EMS, went into VFib arrest, defibrillated, converted, trip to the cath lab, stent placement, survivor. And then he decided to change careers because of this. So working full-time, went to school full-time, was doing his clinicals right time full-time, got into the business first as basically a paid-on-call volunteer, and then now into a career. So great story. It's the first time I've heard the story from start to finish. I've always known of his story, but I never knew his story. So here it is. I hope you love it. Work hard, be kind. Do you remember the first time that we interacted with each other? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
What was it? What was your version?
It was at the Central Iowa EMS Association refresher.
Yeah.
You were sitting in front of me.
Yep.
And I was sitting in the second row, and I had on a PSE polo, I believe the first day. Mm-hmm. And I don't recall if it was the next morning or late the afternoon of the first day. But you turn around and you ask me about my shirt. We started talking bow hunting, and every time we see each other, it just sparked, and we took off as a friendship, I think.
And I don't even remember knowing of your story then, or really knowing you. But I think I asked you if you knew Pete Shepley because you were wearing the PSE shirt.
Yep.
And I don't even know where you were then. Did you work at the same place that I worked at the time? I don't even know what year this was.
I can't recall We worked at the same place
at the same
over the years.
EMS
I
service?
think you were on your way out and I was on my way in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
At
that moment in time of that refresher, you weren't working. Were we crossing paths then, or did you?
We were crossing paths.
Yeah. You still don't know Pete Shepley?
No.
Yeah, I've never met
the man.
I never met the man either, but he made good stuff. What year did you get into EMS?
It was sometime around 2011, 12. Mm-hmm. And I did some volunteer stuff and worked for a very small service. I'm still volunteering for the little town I live in that I started out volunteering for.
I came to your small town once, and
yes, you did.
When I was tunnel visioned what was going on, I heard you say, "Hey, Jason," and I was like, "No way!" I didn't even know what the town was. Yeah. I'd never heard of that town, I think, before that we went to, and we just landed there, and there was a pile of people. Everybody did a great job. I was really surprised to see you there. So the reason we're talking today is because I know of your story, but I don't really know your story. And so I think that in our business, everybody has a story about why they get an EMS or how they ended up in EMS. And yours probably takes the championship of like what happened to you and how it happened. So let me tee it up.
Okay.
What were you doing before you got an EMS? Like,
I was working for a convenience store chain, remodeling their stores.
oh, so construction.
Yep.
So physical
Yep.
labor.
Yep.
Pretty good shape.
Yeah, I thought.
How old were you then?
I was chubby, but I thought I was in pretty good shape.
aren't we all?
I was 41.
41. Okay. So did this event happen on the job?
No, it did not.
Okay. So for those that you don't know, Clint suffered an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. And so let's just talk about the day. Were you 41 at the time?
I was 41 at the time.
All right. So tee it up, man. Where were you?
I was out hunting on some property I used to hunt. It's down in the sticks, several gravel roads, hodgepodge of turns and whatnot to get there. I was leaving for the day. As I was walking to the car, carrying my blind and everything, I started getting short of breath, and I couldn't take a deep breath and catch your breath.
Because you were walking out of the timber?
Yep.
Okay.
So got to the car, changed. I thought, I'd catch my breath at that time. It never happened. As I started driving out, I started having some chest pains. So it took me the process of driving a couple miles to figure out, hey, this isn't going away. I need to call 911.
Describe for us the chest pain. Was it like, we know what classic's supposed to feel like, but did it feel like that for you? Was it a squeeze? Was it a pressure?
It was like an elephant sitting on my chest. I couldn't
textbook
take
right
a deep
there.
breath. The pain, and the longer this went on, the worse the pain got. So at first, I thought it's going to pass, but it just didn't. So I called 911, told them where to meet me, the intersection on the interstate. Drove another 6 miles to get to that intersection, knowing that help was going to be there. I met a sheriff at that intersection, scared the daylights out of him. The ambulance showed up.
What scared him? Your presentation?
Well, I was kneeling behind the ambulance or behind my truck.
Oh.
Because it was cold out. I was hot. I was sweating. It felt good to be in that fresh air. And I was kneeling down. He drove by, did a U-ey, pulled in behind. I think he thought, hey, I got drunk down here.
Oh.
This guy's puking behind his truck.
Oh, you were throwing up too?
Drunk. No, I wasn't throwing.
But you just looked like you were.
Looked like I was.
Yeah.
So as he pulled up, I pulled my billfold out of my pocket and I started walking to him with my billfold out. And his eyes got about as big as saucers. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, but you need to know who I am in case something happens. And I handed him my billfold. He's like, let's get you back in your truck. So,
were you involved in EMS at the time?
No, I was not.
So you had no so the fact that you thought to hand him your ID in the event that this goes south just came out of instinct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So about that time, the ambulance showed up. The paramedic got out. Her quick assessment, what's going on, told her, got me in the rig. She did a 12 lead, gave me nitro and aspirin and did all of the things she needed to do. And
Were you having an MI?
I was.
Yeah.
The
Or
12
was it?
lead showed that I was having, I think it was a medial. Anterior MI.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to think about
Yeah, I get you.
the heart layout. It was an anterior. I could still pick out the spot when they do my stress tests.
Sure.
And she was just with the EMT that day. Mm-hmm. So she's doing all of the work, all of that. She's like, yep, you're having a heart attack. We need to go. And
How far away from you do you think you were from the
we were about 15 minutes.
From cath lab?
Yep. So as we turned the corner and we're heading up the hill to the hospital, that's when I coded.
What do you mean by coded? I mean, I know what it means, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
for our listeners.
Well, she had kept telling me, let me know if you get lightheaded.
Okay.
And I turned and looked at her and I said, hey, I'm getting a little lightheaded. And she said, that's when my eyes rolled in the back of my head and I just went limp on the stretcher. And the monitor showed that I was in VFib,
Okay.
or ventricular fibrillation.
Was
I was clinically dead. The heart was just sitting there quivering.
Yeah, sure.
So she ripped off the 12 lead patches, threw on the defib patches, started chest compressions, all that. There was another service that was leaving the hospital as they pulled in.
Oh.
So they helped her get me into the ER,
It depends on what stage of ACLS we were in at the time versus did she defibrillate you?
She did not, because we were so close to the hospital. Once they got me in the ER room and they were still helping with the care and the ER team was taking over, they shocked me 3 times.
Okay. So, we're not clarifying this to find mistakes or flaws in her care. Obviously, we're not in the interest of that. I'm just trying to get the timeline here. So how long? So if you're defibrillated 3 times, if we did the math, you're talking about 6 or 8 minutes of cardiac arrest.
Yep.
And she got right on the chest, hands on,
Yep.
witnessed,
Yep.
just doing it, making sure your brain stays alive. Do you remember any of that 6 minutes?
I do not. What I do remember was the third shock. So I must have been coming back a little bit because, man, it felt like a mule kicked me in the chest.
Yeah.
And I had a conscious thought, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Oh, they shocked me.
So you were...
And then I thought, you need to stay awake because that hurts if they do it again.
Yeah.
So...
Any of that 6 minutes, did you see Jesus? Did you pull on his robe?
No, didn't see
drink anything with
no
him?
white light at
No
the end
white
of the tunnel.
light,
It
no
was-
nothing.
Basically, it was like going to sleep is how I would associate that whole thing.
Man, that seems like a bit of a disappointment, doesn't it?
Maybe I was
You gotta
headed,
go through all
maybe I
that.
was headed south.
Yeah, maybe. I guess. Was it real hot? Did it start to get hot?
I wasn't sweating that I know of, but
Funny. So you're back. 6 or 8 minutes you weren't. And then they take you basically down to the cath lab.
Yep. Went to the cath lab. They placed a stent. I had 100% blockage of the LAD. Mm-hmm. And the way it was explained to me, I didn't have the widowmaker. I had her sister.
Oh.
So if I'd have been a little bit farther down, or
A little higher up in the LAD.
yeah, a little higher up
Yeah.
where it splits.
Yeah.
That would have been
Death.
her, but I had it on the other side, which helped.
Man, that's something.
So
Any indication leading up to this that you might be in trouble? Family history?
Nope.
Did you smoke?
nope. Well, I smoked years ago, but I quit a year and a half before my heart attack.
Yeah.
I quit smoking to get healthy.
Sure. Well, see what that did.
And yeah,
Cigarettes and bacon,
Guess I
man.
could have
That's
kept going.
The secret to longevity is cigarettes and bacon. I don't know if you know this.
well, mixing a beer here or there.
Sure. Keeps your blood thin, they say. So, no, like, mother, father, brother, sister, no, nothing. Just badass luck. Did you ever get yearly physicals or lab draws or anything that would indicate?
Not prior to that, no.
And then afterwards, you started, obviously.
Yep.
I've been doing a lot of research. So my dad dropped dead of cardiac arrest, and my dad, you were 41. My dad was 43 when he had bypass surgery. He had triple bypass at 43. Not near the same story as you, but similar. No reason to believe otherwise. He was a thin guy, active. Thought he had a rib out of place. Was going to a chiropractor. Ended up somehow it evolved. And I was just starting my EMS career, so this is probably 2002, 2003. Somehow ended up at a cardiologist's office, and they said, "Hey, you got a quarter-size spot on the back of your heart that's dead. So you had a heart attack." Mm-hmm. And so he went in and did the whole thing, and recently, a couple years ago, I'm not looking for sympathy, dropped dead, heart attack, same deal. Really started to research myself, like what they told him post-event on how to live his life, and basically how it ended anyway. And so, curious on your end, there's a lot of questions I have about this, but curious on this end, if you have since then done any research on your own and investigated cholesterol markers and treatments and all that kind of stuff, and to try to find out really what makes your heart and your situation at that young age different than, because it's not normal for a 41-year-old to have a blood clot in his coronary artery, and less normal for you to go into cardiac arrest, right?
Right.
Have you dug into that at all?
I have not dug into my own personal situation. Once I got out of the hospital, I went through some physical therapy, and we also met with a dietitian.
Yeah.
Was all part of the deal. So they explained, the 80-20 rule. I got books on the heart healthy diet, and I did some research to that as to the good foods, bad foods, what foods give you the good cholesterol and what foods to cut out for the bad cholesterol. And I've followed those, I won't say to a T, but I've made a lot of adjustments in my life. I eat way healthier now than I did before then. I always chalked it up to, I had 40 years of biscuits and gravy and bacon and eggs for breakfast, and all of the comfort foods, but the foods that aren't good for your heart,
sure,
so to speak. So now, there's a lot more whole grains. There's, the right amount of dairy, the right amount of eggs per week, this, that, and it seems to be working okay.
Have you noticed a working how, like as far as you're managing your weight or managing your lipid numbers, or
both? After my heart attack, we lost a lot of weight to get down to what I call fighting weight.
Yeah.
It's still not the perfect BMI because, let's face it,
nobody is.
What the chart says I'm never going to be. I haven't been there since I was a sophomore in high school.
Few of us are.
But every year I have my blood drawn, see my cardiologist, I have a yearly checkup with my doctor, and we keep those numbers where they need to be,
Okay. So you have the stent. You got a stent, right? Now bypass?
Got a stent.
Just one?
Just one.
You went through cardiac rehab.
Mm-hmm.
You went through the lifestyle changes. And then what? You were sitting around one day and you said, let's start here. Do you still keep in contact with the people that took care of you that day?
Yes, I do. We became good friends. I used to take her kids out to the Iowa Speedway.
Oh.
She worked at the Speedway. So she was out there every race, never got to take her kids. So my wife and I, one race a year, because we had season tickets, they get to pick their race. We'd take them out. They get to see their mom, hang out, and do all of that. We still talk, not as much as we used to, because, life spreads you out a little bit. But, we still...
Is she still in EMS?
Yes.
Same service?
Yep.
Good. So, long career. She's 10 plus years in the same class.
She's moving up the ladder.
Oh, good. It's really hard to find, I think, anymore, somebody that's been at some service for longer than 5 or 6 years, for whatever reason. Everybody has a reason. So, stent, cardiac rehab, you're doing all the things your physician says, and then you were just sitting around one day and said, you know what? I want to be that person that in case this happens to them, I want to come help them. Or how did we get into EMS?
Kind of like you said, I was driving through the little town that I volunteer in, and there was a road sign set next to the road that they were looking for EMT, EMR volunteers.
Good. Your town was.
I said something to the wife about, hey, maybe I ought to look into doing that to give back to the community that saved me.
Oh, wow.
So we talked about it a little bit. We thought that'd be a good idea. I couldn't do it right away because the job I had me out on the road. I couldn't make the classes.
Yeah, sure.
So when I had a chance to change jobs, I did, got into the classes. The same paramedic that was in the rig with me that night that helped me, I called her up and I said, hey, what do you think about becoming an EMR? And she said, well, you ought to look at being an EMT. It's not that much more work, and you get to do a lot more.
What's the difference? And so EMR didn't exist when I went through. So
EMR is just an emergency responder. Basically, you can do CPR and help. As an EMT, you could do a lot more vitals. You could
Ventilate.
You do the King Airways back then.
Yeah.
There are just more you could do than you could as an EMR.
Patient-assisted medications. That was the big thing back then. Nitro and aspirin.
You could dump the nitro in their hand and put it in their mouth.
Long as you made sure their pressure was right and all that kind of good stuff. And take not significantly injured or ill patients. Right? Like basic life support, basic care. Right. But the EMR was just slightly less than that as far as responsibilities go. Still valuable on the service, but just not as responsible as an EMT.
Yeah, you couldn't do the assisted medications and some of the other stuff. You could splint a broken bone and drive an ambulance. That's about all you could do.
Gotcha. Okay, so she says, nah, skip the EMR, man, and go right to EMT.
Yep. So it's not that much more work, she said.
Yeah.
So finally I got into classes. We did that. Got my EMT. Started volunteering with the little town I live in. The next town up the road, it had an ambulance that could do some transports. So I got on there, started running calls with them, figured out, hey, I kind of like this.
Working up there is like a part-time job.
It was paid on call.
Okay.
So when you could go set at I live more than 5 miles away.
Yeah.
So I had to stay at the station.
Sure.
But
for little to no money.
Yeah.
And then if you got
$5 or $10 a call, something like that.
Oh, so you get paid by the call.
Yeah.
So you're basically staying there for free.
Yep.
If something unless something happened, and that's when you made your money.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
And keep in mind, they only ran 400 calls a year.
And were you?
So we're not getting rich there.
Right. Were you working full time at the same time?
I was.
So you're basically spending the night up there, nights and weekends.
Yep.
Okay. Good.
Yep. And then that service decided to become a provisional ALS. And with the job I had, I couldn't do paramedic school, couldn't afford it. So I went and became an advanced EMT, because then you could give, back then it was like 4 drugs you could give. You give D50 and you could
you start an IV?
saline and you could start IVs. So you could do a few things that you couldn't do as an EMT.
But not as many things as you could do as a paramedic. It seems like we've made a bunch of intermediate levels here where we can do a few things that your community would benefit from.
But the way I seen it, I could do a little bit more as an advanced than I could in EMT, which helped me help the citizens.
Hands down.
So as I was doing the advanced EMT, the service I currently work for is where I did my ride time.
Okay.
So they were awesome to ride with.
What year was this, you think?
It would have been like 2016, because I hired onto that service in 2017.
Okay. So I know about the group of people that still would have been here by then. So like some real solid providers. And clinicians, as I've learned lately to try to call people clinicians.
Exactly.
Real solid people.
And if you had a question, you'd have 4 people arguing over who was going to help you.
Yeah.
The most. It's that kind of people. They were just a wealth of knowledge.
And this was for the advanced EMT.
Yeah, for the advanced.
Did you go to our local community college for that? Or did you go to our hospital-named college?
No, I went to one out by Council Bluffs.
Oh, sure.
The advanced.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right. So you came here, you did your ride along.
Yep.
Certified, did the thing.
And one of the guys that I did ride time with said, hey, we're going to have a hiring process. You ought to do the test.
Okay.
So I did, and I made it.
So
I passed her test,
I may have forgotten already because I have something. See, I think I have CT, but you were an EMTB, and then had to advance to an advanced EMT.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get.
Yep.
Because back in my day, man, it was EMTB and paramedic. You had 2 choices. I used to work with a lot. If I say the older generation, they had all the EMT names, EMT-A, I think, and EMT-B, and then there was an EMT-I, which I worked with a lot of those full time. But they were basically your version of the advanced EMT, and then I had Iowa paramedics, and then there was paramedic specialists, and then there was like Jesus Christ, like can we, why are we so many things?
Right.
So you got hired on part time as an advanced EMT at the place you work full time now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, were you working full time somewhere else?
Yeah, I had
Did you have a full time day job
I had to leave my construction job to come here.
at a part time level?
No, I hired in full time.
Okay, but when you were part time, when you got hired here part time, did you ever work here part time?
No.
You just did your ride time part time.
I just did my ride time.
That's it.
Yep.
Okay. And so you worked for your services up north on a part time paid on call capacity.
Yep.
And then you got hired here, where we're at right now,
Mm-hmm.
as a full time advanced EMT.
Yes.
And that was a thing. We did like they did that.
They call it an overnight basic.
Okay.
So
What kind of
worked
schedule
from
was that?
5 days a week, 11 to 7, 11p to 7a.
On the transport truck, basically, right?
Yep. Yep.
If we had to label it something, I remember that now.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yep. But you got to get your foot in the door,
Right.
And that's the way.
Pay your dues.
When the offer was made, the gal that was in the ambulance with me the night I had my
Yeah,
issue,
yeah.
I called her up and I said, "Hey, what do you think?" Because everything goes through her,
Sure.
And she said, "I don't think you're going to like it."
Yeah.
Well, you're right, but you still got to get your foot in the door.
Right.
I can see something coming down the road, maybe.
Yeah.
So, pay my dues, put in my time. Something better will come out of it.
Good for you.
And that's the way I approached it, and that's what we did.
I really wish, and I would say this for myself too. Everybody comes out of wants that full time job where it's 911s and we're running and gunning and we're sticking needles in chests, man, and intubating people left and right, and it's a made for TV drama. And our culture is so not that, right?
Right.
Like it just rarely exists unless you are lucky enough to get on a municipal fire and EMS combined service where there isn't a sort of private transport element to it, right? Mm-hmm. But even if that's the case, like nobody really comes out and gets that dream job the first time on their first job. And I think it's probably happened, and I think, and maybe well deserving of people. But when people sit there and go, you know what, I know that I'm going to have to pay my dues, and this is the way to do it. And you were getting full-time wages. The benefits were amazing at the time. I would imagine they still are. You had a pre-existing condition, so I mean, you're not going to get any more benefits. Like if you stay in the private sector, they're going to be like, I don't know, man. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know that I want to pay your premiums. You seem like a liability. But when you get hired on a city service or a municipal service, they're like, yeah, man, here you go. We got it. And that in by itself, if you're not making a lot of money, if you're young and just married and just starting a family, benefits are everything. Mm-hmm. Right. So that was good. And you're gonna get to work with some cool people, and you're gonna learn some cool stuff, and you're just gonna learn the basics of the job, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where you were with your headspace.
Yep.
If there's a template for all you people listening right now, a template to how to do this guy did it. You, right? Like I know my role. I'm gonna get in the job. I'm gonna learn from the people that do it better and have done it longer. And then when I'm gonna make my own path, right? Like you're not trailing behind anybody. You were going to blaze your own path, and you did it, but you did it the right way. Mm-hmm. All right. So how long did you work on the overnight truck?
I think I had 4 years in doing that kind of thing.
It's a long time.
Yep. I went to paramedic school while I was doing that.
So how did you manage, because this show is a lot like how to manage life, right? Mm-hmm. You were a chronic night shifter, basically. How did that go?
It kind of dictated where I went to paramedic school.
Okay.
I had to do the local hospital.
Yep, I got you.
One. But if you want something bad enough, you just put your nose to the grindstone and get it done.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes, I worked 5 nights a week, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I went to school from, what was it, 6 to 9 or 6 to 10 or
Evening.
whatever.
You went evening, yeah. So,
Yep. So I would come to town, go to school, go to work, go home, get some sleep.
So if you add it to that shift, I mean, a lot of people, obviously, people in the hospitals work, 7P to 7A, so it's just like a normal 12-hour shift. But you did it 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell me about your day. I mean, how did you manage? What was your normal? Let's start from the minute you got off your shift. Okay, what do you do? You go home and immediately crash, get some sleep.
Yeah, go home, get some sleep, get up with a couple hours to do my reading or studying or whatever before class. Yeah. Or if you can't get to sleep when you get home, you do that. The weekends were full of nothing but reading and studying and doing what needed to be done for school. When the wife and I sat down and discussed doing this, it was like, look, this is going to be a year where we barely see each other. It's just going to be in passing, and she was on board with it. She knew what was at stake. So
that's important.
We did try and pull a little time when possible.
Yeah.
Go to dinner or, spend a little time together or whatever. But it still wasn't enough for that year, because as the year goes on, you start figuring in ride time, your clinical time. So all of that is on top of...
Are you still going to class and doing ride and clinical time? Did they integrate that at the time?
I think in like the second semester, they start integrating that into your schedule. So whenever you're available, you give them your availability, and then they schedule you.
Were you trying to hit that March testing date?
Yes.
And when did you start class? Fall?
Yeah.
Late summer?
Yeah.
So you're trying to basically do a year's worth of college and try to hit that March testing. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't hit the March testing, you can't test again until the following March? Do we only test once a year?
No. You could go to probably another state and do it. But the place I went to school, you could test there for free.
Yeah.
If you went to another state or another testing facility, then you had to pay to go there.
Yeah.
So our testing...
And you had to have everything nipped up. You had to have all your clinicals in right time and all your skill checkoffs and everything. Your quota had to be met. And get through class all buttoned up by whenever they decided they were going to test, March 15th, 20th, whatever it was. Enough time to get you certified, so by the March 31st. Mm-hmm. Right. And so you recerted this year, I assume.
Yes.
Because of I as well. All right, so you dove in head first. We're going to do it. We're going to commit to a year of basically being miserable.
Yep. That's a good way to describe it.
I don't know any other. No.
It's like drinking out of a fire hose versus a garden hose.
And I understand a little bit of, so there are people that seem to be gifted in managing sleep deprivation chronically. I am not that person, right? Like I've tried for several years to mitigate that and just pretend, but it sucks. Like chronically tired is awful. Mm-hmm. Which is one of the reasons I got out of this every third day grind. It was just terrible. But long story short, I also did my schooling. I was very young into my relationship with my wife. And I don't remember exactly. I remember when we got married, honey. But I don't remember exactly. I remember I came off a shift, a 36-hour shift, and then drove to my wedding rehearsal, right, on 2 hours of sleep. So that never goes away. But I remember being in school when my wife and I were together. I don't remember if we were together or married, or if we got married while I was in school. I think we got married while I was in school. So same deal as you. I took the accelerated class. So I was Monday through Thursday, basically 8 to 4. Started in August. Classes ended around Christmas. Got married December 3rd. And then clinicals and ride time had to be packed into... Same as you, meet that March deadline. Mm-hmm. So, but because I was in the Monday through Friday class or Monday through Thursday class, none of our ride along and clinicals were integrated. It was, let's do this first. So you're in class 4 days a week. And then it was after that, it was basically basically what internships are is basically free work. You were working for free 60 hours a week with no pay to meet a deadline. And then, hey, congratulations. Okay? So that's what you did. But yours was probably just prolonged a little bit with you had to deal with your work stuff and your sleep deprivation, and then you had to deal with your school stuff and make sure that you were solid. And in your class, no offense, you were probably the older guy, or was there a bunch of people?
There was 2 guys in there older than me. One of them didn't make it all the way through the class, so
Yeah,
when we graduated,
because really,
I was
and
the second
it,
oldest.
because you're that whole model can really set you up for failure if you're trying to work your full-time job and trying to do better and go to school at night with a wife and with kids and with all that kind of stuff. Like I don't blame anybody for, you know what, I tried and I can't do it. There was a dude in my class and I need to reach out to him. I haven't in several years, but the first day of class, we had about 30 people in the class, and that was back when we could, not everybody made it, not like it is now, where everybody gets a trophy. And I looked at that guy, and I was like, "There's no chance, man, that you're going to keep up," because he was in his 50s. No offense to anybody in their 50s. And that guy was one of 6 who made it. And then, not only did he do that, he was the first one done with his clinicals. He was the first one to schedule testing. And then he went to Kansas and worked on a private, like an EMR type of service for the sign-on bonus, and just got beat into the dirt the first year. Survived it. And then went to his hometown and got on their service and then started a union. And is probably retired now. But did all that in a very short space, right? And if you talk about like put your nose down and just work, those dudes know how to do it. And I was like, he inspired me every day. I was like, if he can do it, I can get through it. I was young at the time. So anyway, I digress. But anyway, so you went to school, and so we're successful. We're now a paramedic. Okay? What did that change about your job and how you did it?
I had to, thankfully, as I got my paramedic, where I was I'm still currently working, was having a hiring for paramedics. So I took the test there.
And that's a civil service. That's a civil service test. Yeah. So for those that don't know, it's a little bit more of an arduous process. Like you go through some rigorous testing, and at the end of the day, you get basically a depth chart. It says, out of the 10 people, you finished here. But they basically place you like a contest, right? And they will only take, presumably, if they're hiring 4 spots, they'll take 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yep.
If available. And we'll only get down into those lower places if a job offer isn't accepted. Right? Yeah. Is that basically how it works?
The list is good for a year.
Okay.
So if you don't get in the first wave of something...
You're still on the list, and if somebody leaves or resigns or...
within that year, then
gets asked to do something else, then they can go down and pick anybody off that list then, right? Like it doesn't have to be the next one up, right? Yeah. So you have to perform, you have to go through these testing, and you're basically doing it for placement. Best man wins. Okay?
Pretty much.
Made the list.
Made the list, got offered the job the next day, and
here you are.
Yep.
Did it change in the department what you did? So did you still stay on the transport truck as now just an ALS provider, or did you get moved to a city location?
At the time I became a paramedic, I still worked on the transport, but not as much because I had enough seniority and I could bid to a city truck. But you still got, you could pick up overtime on that hospital truck, or
did you do your ride time when
get scheduled down there or whatever?
When you were in school, did you do your ride time with the place you work with?
Some of it. Yeah. I couldn't do all of it there, so
really,
there was probably 7 or 8 different places that I did ride time with.
No kidding.
Which is good because you don't just see what the people you work with do.
Oh, sure.
I can go to other services and work with their good people and whatnot, and pick up tricks and see how the other half lives versus how I have it.
That is important. We talk about that around my job a lot too. That we don't really know that we do it right. Right? We make shit up. and I think everybody just kind of makes shit up. Like we're just all kind of making it up as we go, but one of the toxic traits in EMS that you've heard me talk about is my way is the best way or the only way. And we're not interested in learning how to do it differently. And that really kind of, I think, holds us back as clinicians and EMS providers and people that run departments. It's a dangerous thing to think about. So the funny thing is that people will go to other services and be like, hey, you know what I saw? This is the way they do it. And then instantly we're defensive. I don't give a shit how they do it. It's how we do it, man. Like,
Yep.
you take your good ideas somewhere else, please. Right? And it's hard to get through. And I kind of get a little bit of it. There's some ownership, I think. And I'm the look on my face is I'm going back to where I work now, not where I worked when you and I were together, or knew each other. But and how we think about that when somebody comes in and says, this is cute, but we do it this way. And how we instantly get, well, F you, man, that's not us. But we can always do it better. And I think that there's people out there and services out there that we can learn from, everybody. So that's important. So you got hired full-time, and you've been full-time how long?
See, I heard probably 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
Well, I've been full-time since I came in, but a paramedic. This will be the second time I've recerted as a paramedic, so 4 years.
Yeah. No regrets?
No.
I can't imagine.
And I really wish I would have found this career earlier in life.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure earlier in my life I was mature enough to understand what this career is.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, but I wouldn't probably appreciated what I do for a living, being able to help people in all of the aspects of this job in my 20s.
Sure.
Granted, I'd have loved to do this in my 20s, but I'm not sure I would have been the paramedic in my 20s that I am now.
I think it all kind of goes the way it's supposed to go. Don't you think?
I think
You
this is a good way to write out's probably not the right word either, but
Jesus Christ,
I
now
mean,
with your condition.
I've only got so many more years till retirement. So I get to do this until I retire. And I think that's a good way to finish out my working career.
Did you change? How's your schedule now?
We work, it's a fixed schedule. 1 week you work 2 days. The next week you work 5 days. And then it just flip-flops every 2 weeks.
Are you on only days?
Yeah.
So that's a big win
we
right
just
there,
do
right?
12-hour shifts.
Jesus, ain't that something? So
Yeah.
there's no more sleep deprivation for you. Like you come in during the day, the sun's up when you come to work, and the sun's up when you leave work, and you go home, you sleep in your own bed every night, and you get to do that for your full-time job. Mm-hmm. That in itself is.
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain.
Because when I was here, it was that every 23rd, and I get the model. Like I understand the every third day model. I really do. My brother-in-law has been in the fire service in Eastern Iowa for 23 years, and I cannot just imagine being in that blender every third day, 24 hours. Mm-hmm. And we have wonderful people in our metro facility that have done it for decades, right? For me, I just can't physically imagine being in that sort of cycle for my entire life. So getting on a service and having a service that recognizes that we do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of stuff that takes a lot of concentration and cognitive ability and focus. We're not necessarily interested in people being tired when they're doing it. And then to take that model and cut it in half, I think is pretty radical. Mm-hmm. Certainly not anybody around here doing it, is there?
We're one of the very few, I think.
Right. And then to pay somebody.
There's even some out there that are doing, what is it, the 48, 96?
96, yeah.
So you're on for 2 straight days.
Oh, and then God, I can't imagine, man. And I think it probably, the people that do it, I'm not taking any away from the people that do it, they'd have to enjoy it, and it probably works for them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Because one of the things that we have to do in our professions, we just have to make shit work. Because life is set up for Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, holidays and weekends off. Mm-hmm. Right? Everybody's sleeping in their own bed. Services are only open during certain time. And then people like us are working 24 48s, 48 96s. And it comes with its trade-off, right? Like I liked going to the grocery store at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people around.
Yep.
Well, pre-COVID anyway. But it came with the trade-off that I had to work a 24-hour shift on Saturday when my kids are playing, baseball, softball. That's just what we do. So to have a job that comes now through that I can do almost anything for 8 or 12 hours during the day, but it's those nights that'll get you. And so to come full circle, basically, start your career working the graveyard shift, basically, and then putting yourself through school, and then reaping that benefit of having a wonderful paying job with good benefits, and now a pretty sweet-ass schedule, aside from maybe working 5 days a week, because I ain't gonna lie to you, that sounds a little terrible.
Well, keep in mind it's Monday, Tuesday.
I know it's different pay
Friday,
weeks.
Saturday, Sunday,
it's different pay weeks. I get it, but it's still 5 days a week. Shit,
yeah.
I haven't worked 5 days a week in I don't know how many years. I've always said, but don't get me wrong. Like if I told people my schedule, they'd be like, "What is that guy bitching about?" My schedule's pretty sweet, but I still have to work occasional 24s and night shifts.
Yeah, but you've also done it long enough to work yourself into that. You got to start somewhere, and you got to take the beating. To get the gravy at the end.
It's interesting you say that. My first EMS job was 36 on, 60 off. But a lot of it was on call from home. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole different conversation of having that pager and radio in your house. Right? Like, that's a whole different mindset of, I have to get out of my bed right now? And go where? You want me to do what?
Yeah. I just got in the bathtub and the
and I have to drive to the station now to get into another vehicle to go to that call and do that kind of stuff. But it worked for people back then, and it is what it is. I had a gal come up to me at her career day last year, and she said, "Hey, man, if you could give one piece of advice, we're going on 45 minutes now, and I'm not going to wrap it up. You tell me what you want to tell me." And I said, here's what I would say. I would say, if you're going to do this job, work slowly at it. I saw a lot of people go right from being an EMT basic and signing their certificate that they passed to now just enrolling in the paramedic class with zero life experience as an EMT. And I said, do that. I said, you'll never know how to intubate somebody if you don't know how to bag somebody first, right? And she says, all right, understood. I get it. Work with paramedics that hopefully lead you down the right path, teach you the right way. If you were to give somebody any advice right now, because your story is somewhat sentimental, like you're doing this job because something happened to you and somebody came and reversed it and had an impact on your life, what would you tell people to do who are either in this profession? Let's start with this. What would you tell people that want to do this job?
It can be a very rewarding job. There's not too many jobs that you can do in your life where you can have an impact on somebody's family like we do. That being said, you also have to understand what you do does affect that family. So, a lady comes running out of her house with a limp kid in her arms and hands it to you.
God. Yeah.
I don't know if you can curse on your podcast, but you
I
can't.
try not to say the F word. I don't care.
You can't say, oh shit,
yeah,
and panic yourself. So you might be scared to death on the inside, but you got to portray that sense of calm, sense of, I got this.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that. That affects
But you
them.
can't get that. And I had this conversation with somebody the other day. You don't get that in school.
No.
Not at all. You don't really, and by chance, you're going to be exposed to that during your clinical or ride time. because you only have to do so much. And you may never see that. So the example I used, my first code as a paramedic was a SIDS kid. There's nothing that I learned in that school that prepared me for how that kid would look and how loudly and shrill that mom would scream. Mm-hmm. Not one. But here I am, got to get to work.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter. Like, you can sit here and practice it all day long and go through the muscle memory of doing it. But that experience by itself is nothing you're prepared for. And but you can't prepare for it either unless you can't even say lucky enough to experience that during your clinicals and ride time, because it's unlucky that you were there to do it. But it has an impact on your career, right? So it's for us to say, I don't even know how to articulate it, man, because you're going to get through school and you're going to think you're cool and you can do a bunch of shit. And then you're going to run that call where that lady hands you that dead kid and you're going to be like, oh.
Mm-hmm. And maybe part of me doing this so late in life, like I said earlier, I probably wouldn't have been ready for it in my 20s. Yeah. Maybe doing it later in my life is because I have the understanding I don't know it all.
Yeah.
And I'll never know it all. And if it's not for my coworkers and the constant training we do and all of that kind of stuff, and a little bit later in life, you learn how to deal with death. You learn how to deal with a few other things that a person in their 20s didn't.
There's some emotional maturity that goes around with this, isn't there?
Yeah, you also have the ability to think outside the box. And nobody ever told me this job is probably 80% thinking outside the box. Yeah. How are you going to solve this problem? How are you going to get this person out from between the toilet and the bathtub and he's 400 pounds?
Yes.
Figure it out. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You got to do it.
Job is all solving problems.
So, as long as you go into it with that understanding, I don't know it all. There's always something I can learn. I can learn from you. I can learn from my coworkers. I can learn from the person that saved my life. I can learn from my cardiologist when I see him once a year. If there's something goofy that happened, I ask him. Yeah. And you know what? He takes the time to answer my question.
Yeah.
Just because I ask. So as long as you have that understanding.
Sometimes the best answer to a question is I don't know. We have a tendency to make shit up in this job a lot. We pretend that we know. We really don't know. Yeah. The emotional maturity thing, I think, is a big deal. I'm not saying this is the model for anybody. There's people out there that just want to know that they want to do this job right out of high school or right out of college, and they just know it, either from a family connection or, it's being passed down to the next generation, this job or whatever. But I was late in life too, so mid to late 20s when I decided that this is what I wanted to do. And I was glad that I did, because there is a little bit of life that you get under your belt first.
Yep.
And learning how to walk into somebody's house and saying, hi, I'm Jason. Well, how can I help you? Like, what's up?
And that's something they don't teach you in school.
Never teach you that. They don't teach you how to communicate with people. Oh, who's that guy? Well, I can't say it on air. They don't teach you how to communicate with people. And that's a big thing. It's just...
You do your little scenarios, and you learn how to, deal with your classmate. But they don't teach you...
how to knock on that door and
you got to deal with a 6-year-old kid completely different than you deal with the 86-year-old lady.
That's a good point.
And
they teach us all about the big, bad, and the ugly, right? Anaphylaxis, congestive heart failure, they do all these things before the patient dies. And they never say that 2 a.m. I got up to pee and I'm a little dizzy. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, is there more to the story? I'm like, no. Okay. So, right? It's always, hi, I'm Clint. How can I help you tonight? What seems to be the problem? How can I help? And it's really all customer service driven. One of the things that your new deputy chief, I think, taught me a long time ago, and taught all of us, was they will never remember you for saving you in the nick of time, right? They will always remember if you were nice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
How was your trip to the hospital, ma'am? Oh, that paramedic guy, he was really nice. Treated me well. I mean, it took him 4 times to start my IV, but he was nice about it. And that's what they will remember. They will never remember that they gave you that drug just in the nick of time and basically turned them around from your situation. And they don't teach you that in school either. Listen, man, I really can't thank you enough for. I know the weather's crap, and neither one of us have probably anything else to do. But thanks for meeting me. I really do enjoy your story, and I'm glad that you got. Do you get a chance to tell your story like on a more formal basis? Like, do you do refreshers or trainings or things where you go around and promote?
I haven't got that far, or probably nobody's ever asked me. But I have been on the news a couple times for different stories. Like my very first ride time when I was going through EMT school was back with the service that saved me.
No way.
So, and it wasn't even supposed to be an official ride time. I asked the paramedic, I said, hey, I'm brand new to this, have no idea what I'm getting into. Can I come down and just spend 8-10 hours with you, whatever, and see what you guys do? So she said, yep, come on down. I went down there. I had on my student t-shirt they gave us in class, and we got a call. And it happened to be right in the middle of the interview that they sent up with the local TV.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
sure. Of course it did.
Back here and all of that.
Of course it did.
Tones dropped. And she made me work on the way to the hospital. She gave me things to do in the ambulance. I'm like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, and then another service used me for, I won't say used me for promotional stuff. But,
it sounds bad, but you understand.
When I became a paramedic, it was cool because
well, it's a cool story.
I haven't made the full circle yet, but
yes.
I think the full circle would be neat if I went back and gave some time to the service that saved
Hands
me.
down.
That would be full circle. But, I've shared my story that way, and whoever asks, I'm not scared of sharing a story, or shy away from it. But
well, listen, man, it's a good one.
I've never put together like a class to go teach at IMSA or anything like that. So,
well, listen, it's a great story, and I'm glad you shared it with us and all my 2 listeners, which isn't true. I just being a smart ass.
Just you and me?
Just me and you. I'm going to listen to this on the way home from here, actually, and make sure it sounded right, which it did. We did good. Anything else, man? I can't. Listen, I really wish I could say thanks, but in a different way. But I'm just glad you met with us. And everybody deserves to hear everybody's story, and yours is a good one, man. So thanks for doing it.
If it helps somebody over that decision hump,
yeah.
They're thinking, should I do it? Should I not?
The answer is yes.
If hearing my story,
I think if you're already thinking about doing it, it's probably a good indication that you should do it. And I think that that's true with anything. Like if you're thinking about doing it, if it's on your mind enough to think about doing it. It's
extremely fulfilling work. And I used this phrase on one of the interviews, and let me make sure I remember it exactly. But most people get up and say, I got to go to work.
Yeah.
I get up and say, I get to go to work.
Get to go to work. That's a difference.
So
it's a huge.
Going to work no longer sucks every day for me.
That's a huge life satisfying event too. When you know that, like I see a lot of people on the interstate Monday, and they just look like they're not interested in where they're headed.
They got their little cup of coffee and their tie and their blank zombie stare, and they're just
the blank
going
zombie
through the motions.
stare is the one, right? They did it yesterday. They're going to do it again tomorrow. Good for you, man. Well, hey, thanks for sharing.
No problem.
See you, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Shift Change Podcast. As always, look for updates on our Instagram page at talk.shiftchange on Instagram, and email me with any questions, problems, concerns at talkshiftchange@gmail.com. Thanks, everyone.